I think what happens with owners is you wear the everything hats because you want control, because it's scary with all the liabilities and things that can happen in the business, and you want to protect people and you want to give them a job and make money and serve customers. But by holding on that control, you prevent growth, and you prevent growth from your people. And because if you're always protecting them, they're never learning. And if you're not setting up the right people in that role, you're setting up people that are just going to listen to you and follow you around and just say, yes, sir. You're not getting those real true professionals that are going to get you to the next level.
Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
Welcome to Freedom Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Deese, and I have got a special guest today hanging out with me. Derek Cormier from Climate Experts in Melbourne, Florida is here hanging out. And I wanted to get him on the show because I don't know, if you don't know who Derek is, Derek really knows a ton about, I'm going to say social media, and maybe it's marketing in whole, but we're going to dig into a little bit of his story today and find out how he's managed to grow and scale his business the way he has. And Derek, welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So obviously we want to get into the Derek of today and the Climate Experts of today. But before we do that, tell us a little bit, how did you get started in the trades?
So great question. I originally grew up in a household. My dad was a general contractor. So, from 10 years old, I was helping him every summer, building homes, remodeling residential properties, doing the framing, everything, basically. Everything other than specialty trades I did with him on site, but obviously we had subcontractors. So grew up doing that, became a police officer at 21 in South Florida, did that for 5 years to get out of construction because I wanted to live a different style of life and not just run the family business. Ended up coming back to the trades, and I decided that HVAC was where I wanted to live after working for a couple of the companies and really liking the pairing of the technical and the sales and seeing the opportunity where we're in Florida and everybody needs it. So I decided to start my own business in 2016, and I saw my dad was having a difficult time with the remodeling business. The trades is just easier, it's more specific, as a lot of you know. And we just started out the business in 2016 and worked together and brought my brother in to work with us, brought my cousin in to work with us. And that had some struggles that
family business
we
is
dealt
never
with.
Easy. It never comes without its struggles, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of listeners have worked with family members or best friends or spouses, and it's an interesting dynamic. And I can tell you some of my experiences with it and the pros and cons with it. And I know we're talking about marketing, but just to sum it up, we worked through the family part of it from 2016 to 2019. And we ended things cordially to where basically my dad went and started his own HVAC business. My brother went over with him. My cousin also left the business. So I basically in 2019 restarted from scratch, just one employee again. And we did end up growing it to where it's going to be budgeted to do about $8 million this year in residential HVAC. And we also do plumbing. We're adding on electrical as well. So we scaled that very fast from 2019 to 2024. And, the main reason why it really wasn't working out was we weren't really able to establish true roles to have boundaries so that we can stay on our own lanes. It was the owner complex of, you're an owner, I'm an owner, let's do it all together. And then as soon as a disagreement comes in, the business isn't able to move forward. And that just kept happening. And when there's personal attachments, especially with family, it becomes difficult because emotions are involved. And I came to a point where I didn't want to affect the personal relationships in a negative way just for business. It wasn't necessary. And after trying for, those 3 years it just made more sense to have a serious conversation and move a different direction.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when it comes to, and it can be family, it can be any kind of partnership whatsoever. Roles and boundaries are one of the most difficult things to really line out. And then once you get them, you got to be like, all right, that's you're captain in that lane. I will stay out of your lane, and that's your lane. So you're definitely not alone in that. There's a lot of business owners that just struggle with that in general. Even with employees, sometimes they struggle with that as far as, not having enough non-negotiables and letting people do whatever sometimes it is that they want to do when you're like, that should be a non-negotiable. So that's great. So 2019, you got a little bit of a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping to 8 million from one truck, that is very impressive.
Thank you.
So what do you think, what were some things that you implemented, or what do you think was really some keys to success from going from 2019 one truck to growing it to 8 million as fast as you did?
So right from the start, I decided to partner with a best practice group, and I'm sure you've all heard of Nextar. A lot of you have heard of Nextar, and I made sure I got into that organization early on because I was an HVAC tech. I was an installer. I was not a business professional. I didn't have my MBA. I didn't know profit and loss. I didn't know EBITDA. So that really could prevent you from growing if you don't have those financials. And again, I didn't take any business loans. I didn't have any investors. I didn't have a business that I purchased that already had revenue. This was, from the ground up, single truck, taking $29 service calls from Craigslist. So I had to be really smart with the financials. So I partnered with Nextar, amazing organization. That's definitely a large part of our success. And I got the systems and processes in place so I can have a repeatable system that I could train other people to do. And I think part of the success was I realized early on that I needed to have other people do the work that I was currently doing so I can do higher level work. I think what happens with owners is you wear the everything hats because you want control, because it's scary with all the liabilities and things that can happen in the business, and you want to protect people and you want to give them a job and make money and serve customers. But by holding on that control, you prevent growth, and you prevent growth from your people. And because if you're always protecting them, they're never learning. And if you're not setting up the right people in that role, you're setting up people that are just going to listen to you and follow you around and just say, yes, sir. You're not getting those real true professionals that are going to get you to the next level. The person that got you to 3 million is not the person that might get you to 8 million, to 15 million, to 20 million. The processes you did to get you, the process you did to get to that point, might change. So I realized that early on that I needed to find the right people. I need to establish a very specific job role so they had specific expectations, and then I had to have specific KPIs that I was evaluating their success on. So it wasn't this personal thing of like, oh, this person just works really hard and works 24/7, is doing what I'm doing. I had a top 3 priority, and I still do, for every single role that has specific measurable KPIs that I can tell if they're winning in that role, and they can tell if they're winning in that role. So I think that was definitely a large part of our growth strategy while staying very profitable. And we've doubled in revenue every year since we've started, and we're going to continue to do that. And as you get to the 8 million mark, you might say, well, that might be harder to double at that point. You're right, but we've added plumbing, we're adding electrical, we've gotten into 3 Home Depots, we partnered with them. So there's a lot of creative ways where you can still keep that trajectory going. It's just the house. And I search for companies that have already done that, and I replicate it.
Yeah, so something you brought up about Nextar in general is finding your tribe. I think that's one of the most important things, and you can relate to this, right? Being a business owner can be pretty lonely, right? Lonely at the top. And you're running into these issues, and without a group of people to communicate with, there's times you're sitting there going, am I the only one having these issues? And when you have your tribe and you're able to reach out and go, hey, is anybody else having this problem of whatever it is? And then you hear 10 people go, yeah, man, I'm having the same problem. It certainly makes you go, okay, I don't feel as defeated. Now I can go find 10 other people that have solved that problem. And now I go work towards the goal to fix that problem. So definitely for anybody listening, if you're not, there's some really good best practice groups out there. Definitely find your tribe and make sure that you're leaning in to take advantage of the group's knowledge, because most people that are in best practice groups, guess what? They're willing to share. That's why they're there. And most of them, just like Derek, they grew from asking questions and getting answers and help from other people. So that's great. So with the growth of the business, so having KPIs, which is a little interesting, that now that you think about all the things that you were able to implement with your KPIs, and then you think about how you ran your business before when you did that, it's almost like playing a football game with no scoreboard. And so many business owners do it. Like, because now it's not subjective. You're not like, man, I really feel like Bobby's doing a really good job. Now you got a number to tag to it, and you're like, Bobby, here's your number. Here's your scoreboard. How are you doing? And Bobby's like, yeah, I probably need to step it up a little bit. So let me ask you this. So one of the things I wanted to really kind of lean in with you a little bit is you and your team do an amazing job on social media. And I think a lot of business owners miss the mark on the social media aspect. They're paying the Google monster, or they're, doing other things in order to drive business. But social media is one of those things that really, I think, quickly gets that know, like, and trust built for you, for your customer. So for anybody who's not checking out Climate Experts, you got to go check out their Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Go check all of it out. There is some really, really funny stuff. But how did you guys get started even doing that?
So I told myself probably a couple years ago that I needed to get on Instagram, I needed to get on Facebook, and I needed to get on TikTok. And we had really good social media management as far as not just posting those stock images, which aren't of your company and that no one really wants to see. We always took really good photos of the team, and our social media was probably better than most. But really changed the game was when we got into the videos, and that's YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and that's what everyone's watching. Like, people are just scrolling on their phones on social media, just watching the videos because they're entertaining, right? People have low attention spans nowadays, so photos don't really get the same amount of views compared to video. So I said to myself, okay, we need to get on video, and I needed to find companies out there that had really good social media presence. And one of them is Radiant Plumbing in Texas. If you want to see an amazing company with social media that is insane with videos, it's Radiant Plumbing. They're also a Nextar organization, and they were actually featured on like national TV for their social media being so funny and so good. And I said to myself, we're going to be making social media videos to that caliber one day. And I'm going to be honest, it took some time because, you got to be the kind of person that's comfortable, like, being on video. And not everybody, HVAC people especially, are actors and want to be on video. So in the beginning, it probably took me a solid year to gain the courage to be like, okay, I'm just going to have to do it. I'm going to be on video, because if you don't lead that mission by example and you make your people do it, something that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself, at some point they feel like you're that boss that doesn't care about them and is just making them do a job. So I had to believe in it as much as the employees, and I had to lead the charge, and I had to say, okay, this is what we're doing. It's going to be fun. I had to put a lot of thought into it. I got to plan them. And, everyone's a test. You never know what's going to work if you go into it with, too many expectations. Like, the video you thought that was going to get, 100,000 views gets 500. And the video you thought no one would watch gets 150,000. So we have tactics to be able to do all different types of videos just to see which one works. And then we put money into it. So we not only post them organically, but we also use A/B testing with ads. And I find a lot of contractors either underspend on their marketing budget, or they just go crazy and overspend. And talking about KPIs, what you mentioned earlier, Justin, it's really important to know what your budget is. We budget the whole year the previous year. So in 2023, we budgeted 2024. We knew how much marketing we were going to spend, and then we allocated that to specific marketing channels: print mail, social media, video, Google. The Google monster, if you put all your money towards that, you have no other outside avenues for marketing. And if Google changes the algorithm, you lose all your customers. I would never put all my eggs in that basket, even if it works. You need to have several strategies in case one falls out. So we knew our marketing budget was 6%. We've doubled in growth with a 6% marketing budget. When someone tells you they've grown their business and they doubled, if their marketing budget's 15%, I'm not impressed. But if you've grown with a reasonable marketing budget so that you're staying profitable, I think that's important. So with a 6% marketing budget, it was enough money to be able to explore social channels, direct mail, like channels that you might have not normally gone with, like the obvious, like Google and things like that.
Well, and for most businesses, when you think about Google, that's typically the most expensive form of advertising there is. And Google's in it to make money and clicks, but it's amazing and crazy how much it's gone up in cost over the years. I mean, I can remember $9 a click, $6 a click. I remember those days, and it doesn't feel like that long ago. But really, then when you think about social media aspect of it, what part of your budget, you don't have to be specific, but around what part of your budget is dedicated and allocated towards social media?
So originally we under budgeted social media because we didn't realize the potential that it had, because in the past we've done really the wrong types of ads. We've done like the typical ads where you show like, get a new AC unit for $59 a month, and you're trying to get these estimate leads and very direct to lead type advertising on social media, and that just doesn't work. So we under allocated a budget for social media, and we probably had it at 5% of marketing budget, and now we're at 20% of our marketing budget is towards social media, because we're not just using it for direct to lead advertising, we're actually using it for branding, so people know who we are, so that when they do go on Google, they remember that video. And recruiting as well. So like we get tons of people that just apply to the jobs because they like our vibe. They see how fun we are. They see that we're willing to do things that are differently. Like they see the branding and the trucks, and it just all lines up. And that's the long-term marketing strategy of not just get the immediate leads and ROI and on investment. The branding is the long-term, where eventually you can get a better customer for less spend because you invested in the branding, because people already know who you are. So when they see it, they don't have to see you so many times before they actually call you. So we've increased it to 20% because we've seen and heard just from employees recruiting here, from our customers, oh, we love your videos, even from vendors. We have vendors like manufacturer supply houses that are like, we love your videos. And the more people are talking about you, the more likely they're probably going to call you when they need you.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you've broken down that barrier of know, like, and trust, right? So now they've seen the video, and all of a sudden they're like, man, okay, these guys are great. Because a lot of people, when they think of trades, especially people that aren't in our industry, people that are just John Q homeowner, when they think of tradespeople, they might have the butt crack plumber kind of image in the back of their head, and then they're scrolling through Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, and they scroll through and they see one of your video. Like you had one that just came out about a group of people on a couch that were, elderly people that were complaining about the AC. That was gold, and so funny. But the other thing is, I want to ask about recruiting. So how has that impacted? I know you said you had people that come in that, obviously make a comment about your ad, but how much has that impacted your recruiting process and recruiting system?
It's impacted it amazingly. And really, before we went into the social media side, we always had video. We had professional video, and we had a recruiting video that we posted on all of our Indeed ads and on our careers website. And it's about a 2-minute video, and it's just story of a Climate Experts employee, and it was one of my technicians. And that video has gotten more views than any other video that we've posted, just because it's posted on all of our job ads. And every single person that applies watches that video, and they talk about it. And they're like, I loved how it seemed like the environment was this. And then every employee looks at your Indeed reviews. Like, we over focus on Google reviews and like, oh, customers are looking for Google reviews. Every person that applies talks about they applied because we have great Indeed reviews and Glassdoor reviews. So you need to invest time. Any good employees that you have, get them to go on Indeed and leave a 5-star review and write real things that they experience in the job. Or Glassdoor. I am telling you, there are people that are not applying to your job ad because you don't have enough reviews, or they're not good, or you don't have any reviews. So you got to invest also in just the organic page for Indeed or your careers page. If you don't have a good careers page that tells experience from the life of an actual employee, you don't have good pictures, you don't have reviews, I'm not surprised that you don't have that many people applying. We get anywhere between 200 to 500 applications a week, and we're not even that large of an organization. Like, we have 40 employees about.
Wait.
So
Say that one more time. How many do you guys get a week?
we get between 200 and 500 applications a week, and we have typically around 8 positions open at a time because we're growing so fast. It's new positions as well as technicians, obviously field employees and things of that nature. We have a full apprenticeship program as well, so we train technicians from the ground up. We don't rely on the experience in the field with bad habits.
And you think about this, for someone, in Florida, we're kind of a hotbed. People are moving from other areas because who doesn't want to live in Florida? But you think about if I'm a superstar tech and I'm coming into your neck of the woods and I've got this one company that has 2 5-star reviews on Google, has no social media, no presence, and then I'm looking at you guys, I think what's really cool is now you're attracting the avatar of what you want to work there, versus I'm going to say the chuck in the truck kind of guy, or the kind of guy or kind of girl, or the one who has worked for every single company in the entire area, once or twice. You're not going to attract that person. You're going to attract someone who is progressive and wants to learn and is excited about the day, versus, oh gosh, it's Monday. And I think that's something really cool you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm on social media and I see other owners and I hear their frustrations every day. Like, I'm offering $40 an hour, $50 an hour, and still people don't want to work. And I hear this like constantly, like, oh, people just don't want to work, or there's no one. It's not true at all. You're just not attracting the right people. You're just not attracting those. That's like saying there's no customers that need AC. Like, they do. You're just maybe not good at marketing and they don't know about you. So you need to. The number one reason why people are usually applying here is, I hear the word constantly, it's culture. It's culture, 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 culture. Because even if you made tons of money and the culture was toxic, they won't stay there very long. Mm-hmm. So you need to show employees how fun your culture is. Like, they need to know that they're going to have growth within the business. They need to know that they're going to make a fair salary. They need to know what the benefits are like. And you need to have fun ways to get them to engage with you so they can learn that information. And I don't see that happening typically in construction and HVAC, because we think of it as a hard role, and we're going after the same people that we don't even want to work for us, that are grumbly, that probably are on drugs, that have attitudes, that are just doing it because they have done it for so long. And we know our ideal employee, and that's not it. And we get so many people applying here. It's like, it's a privilege for them to work here. They feel like they're competing to work here. They're not like, oh, you'd be lucky for me to work at Climate Experts. They're like, please, 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 I want to work here. What do I need to do to work here? And that is what your goal should be in recruiting. It shouldn't be like, oh, the second someone comes in that is breathing, that has some HVAC experience, they're in, because you're going to ruin your whole culture with that one bad employee, and now you're going to have to replace them all.
Well, and I think that's probably makes a really good impact on your current team, because now your current team knows there's several hundred people that are applying every day to come work there. So it does, I agree with you. I think that does a really good job of kind of keeping everybody on a check and balance. Not that you're trying to, hey buddy, I got 500 people lined up, but I definitely think in the back of people's mind, if they know, hey, you eliminate that, well, there's nobody that wants to come work, or I can work here because they can't find anybody else. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's 100% accurate. And we even do something called a paid workday trial, where they come in for the day. It's $10.99. They sign a form, and we pay them for the day to just come in and sit with that department. So let's say they're a technician, they'll ride with a tech during the day. They'll get to see our culture. They'll get to see if it's real. We'll get to feel out their vibe too. Like, are they on their phone the whole day on Snapchat? Are they a know-it-all and they're not listening from day one? Are they pulling out the vape pen? We have a no smoking policy. So we have standards. A lot of guys are like, oh, you smoke cigarettes? That's no problem. Come on in. Like, we even have a no smoking policy at work, and we have amazing employees, and we still have 200 to 500 applications a week. So like, we think that we have to lower our standards just to get someone to apply, and then we get desperate. And whenever you're desperate, it's like going to the grocery store when you're hungry is a bad idea. Don't go to the recruiting grocery store while you're hungry, because you're going to buy food that's not good for you. So we are very intentional with the grocery lists before we go into the recruiting grocery store, and we find the right ones, and we don't rush the process, and they come to a workday trial and they prove it to us through that, and then we hire them. Try it before you buy it. For them too, the employee gets to see, is the culture real? Like, is it everything they said it is? And we can both make an intelligent decision before you just pull the trigger and invest all this money into someone that's not the right fit, and then you wasted all this time.
The way employees are now, and I think this happens a lot with the business owners that we hear about, no good people, or whatever negative thing they would like to say about people, is the workplace has shifted, and I think a lot of times people forget that, and people don't work somewhere for 20 years just because anymore. There's more opportunities than they've ever had before, right? Somebody leaves your shop and decides they don't want to work for you. It probably is only going to take them a day or two to find another trades job, because there is such a demand. Probably not, obviously not with a company as great as you guys, but they can go find a job somewhere else. And there's also this, gig economy too, where they can, Uber and DoorDash, and, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And culture is number one thing that we hear from the next generation of team members is culture, man. They get that they are going to spend as much time there as anywhere else, and they want to like it. Who wants to work in a place? I'm not in that generation. I don't want to be around a bunch of people that I don't like.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% correct. Culture is super important to this generation, and I'd say the second thing is they want growth. Everyone that I recruit, it's a constant thing that I'm hearing. They want growth. They want a career progression plan. And I think what happens is we hire someone for a role, and we train them on that role, and they start doing well at that role. And if they don't have a growth plan, if they don't have a career progression plan on what's the next step, like whether it's more money, whether it's a higher position, whether it's a different schedule, they're going to look elsewhere. They're going to go on Indeed. They're going to look for the more money that they're looking for. They're going to look for the higher position that you're not offering them. And you might say to them, like after they're leaving, oh, I wish you would have talked to me about this and explained to me this was a concern. But people just don't do that. They don't want to complain. You have to pick this stuff up beforehand. You have to have a process that protects you from that to happen. So if every employee in your company has a set career progression path and they know they're moving in that direction, they're going to take responsibility for their actions and their results, and they're going to know they're moving in that direction. And if you put in little one-to-one meetings where you guys follow up on those places on what they need to work on, you're going to have an employee that's going to stay with you more long-term, because they know they're moving in that direction. They don't want to take the chance to jump ship. They're only doing that because they think there's no opportunity.
Yeah, one-to-ones has been probably in our business has been one of the biggest impacts that we've made, just because it gives the opportunity, exactly like you just said, to sit down and actually get to know your team and what's going on. And I think it's like one of the number one things from a leadership standpoint. All leaders should make sure that is happening in their business is doing the one-to-ones, and that's a whole different rabbit hole that I could go down, but we won't. So marketing, social media. Give us one or two tips that you can think of for anybody who's listening, who's like, man, I got a Facebook page, but I kind of like half-ass do it. What's some advice you've got for them?
For sure. So I would say, don't be a perfectionist. Don't overcomplicate it. You just need to get started. So action creates more action. And you need to stop worrying about what other people think. You need to stop worrying about what other people think. Because you're going to always have haters. If you're trying to cater this social media plan to everyone being happy with you, some engagement, sometimes even bad engagement, is good for social media, because you're just going to get more views. So obviously you need to make sure that there's some appropriateness. You need to figure out, okay, who is said company? I needed to figure out, okay, who is Climate Experts, and how do I communicate that with the public so that they can understand who we are? So you need to first figure out who you are. If you don't have core values, if you don't have a mission statement, if you don't have a vision statement, it's going to be really hard to promote this stuff to the public because you don't even know who you are. So before you even put any social media out, you need to first understand who you are as a company and then promote those things to them in a simple and fun way, and have some boundaries. You're a business, so make sure you have some boundaries. Know who your customer base is. Like if I in Florida have mostly retirees, I might do a skit on the Golden Girls. That's what they're going to resonate with. It's a show they watched. I might not do something on like a new TikTok challenge if my ideal customer is someone that's 60 or above that owns a home. But if it's for recruiting purposes, maybe it will be on a TikTok trend that they're going to watch and they're going to apply. So know what your goal is for that recruiting strategy. So you need to have a goal for every video, and there should be some sort of call to action aligned with it. And another tip or trick that I would say is that if you're already on social media, or you have a friend or family member that's on TikTok or Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, YouTube, you already know what's kind of trending. You can see it's on your feed already. If you just take what's already there and you spin an HVAC theme to it, or plumbing or electrical, like just recreate what's already trending. People are going to find it really funny because it's fresh on their mind. So just take the stuff that's already trending and then just recreate videos for it in the start. You don't even have to get complicated and customize it. Like we just did a skit last week on Shark Tank. So we have a Shark Tank skit. I'm wearing like Kevin O'Leary's wig, and everyone you'll see the Shark Tank all over social media where people are constantly watching it. So we did a fun spin with Shark Tank and climate experts so that it's something recognizable that people are already watching. So they're like, oh, a Shark Tank thing. I love Shark Tank. Let me check this out. And then they'll watch it long enough to see if you have enough humor to see if they want to, watch the entire thing. So there needs to be something relatable. It should be about journey for the customer. This shouldn't be, don't make HVAC videos for technicians, unless this is for recruiting. And again, like maybe you don't want experienced technicians around there. So don't make your videos for other technicians. If the only people that understand your humor or your video are other business owners in HVAC or technicians, that's not your goal. This should be about the customer's journey. They should feel like this is relatable to them. This needs to be engaging to them. And then hopefully you have a call to action that gets them to engage or remember your company.
So all really good advice, and I want to sum this up real quick because I think there was a lot of good nuggets that were in there. So one of the things was just get started. Love that. Stop the perfection. I think that's probably the number one deflector that most people have when it comes to social media, especially being on camera on social media. I think that's the biggest thing that they get hung up on. Don't worry about the haters. It's just part of social. People are ugly on social media sometimes, but whatever. Know your mission, vision, and values. I mean, that's 101. Got to know that, and then repurpose some things that you got going on. Repurpose. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Repurpose what's already going out there. That's all solid advice. Let me ask you this: how do you guys, when you're creating a video, are you guys paying a professional videographer to come in, or are you guys grabbing the iPhone?
Great question. So originally when we made professional videos, we hired a videographer, and they're expensive. And when you're making a lot of content, it becomes so expensive. And that might be another reason why a lot of contractors don't, make the move in that direction. So what we did was we advertised a job for someone that just worked on social media videos, and we made it kind of part-time, 1099, and we found someone that had their own little company where they just did advertising for social media. So they come to our shop like every month. We make 6 videos. We strategize. We have a strategy meeting where we strategize exactly what the videos are going to be. We figure out the scripting. We figure out the shots. We figure out what employees want to be involved in it. And then he comes here and he shoots 6 videos in a row, same day, so we don't overwhelm it. And then that time period is focused on videos. And then he goes back and edits it. So he's not like the professional videographer where you're paying all this money for those videos. Like for 6 videos, I get a deal. Like it's very reasonable. You just need to find that person that's kind of the in-between of like that full-time videographer company and that college kid that is doing videography on their own. You got to find the in-between person, and they're out there, so you just got to search.
And I'm guessing that's probably a pretty big win-win, because this person, as they're growing in their profession, they're like, check out what I'm doing for Climate Experts. Like, if you love what they're doing, let me help you. So I think that's a good plan.
Yeah,
So,
in-house is kind of unreasonable because everyone in your company has roles, and if you're
right.
giving someone that's not an expert in social media, or someone that's not an expert in videography or video editing, there's so many things to it, like the way that you get a shot on camera, like how you come off screen, even the movement of the camera. That's super important in today's social media. If it's just stagnant sitting there, people get bored. So like find someone that's good at videography and social media. It's completely different than a video where it's just stagnant and it's the customer's journey and it's your professional video on your website. Social media is different. It's engagement.
Derek, that's all good information, man. I know you got a big business to run. You got some doubling of numbers to do coming up on this next year. Any last thoughts before we call it good for today?
I'd say last thing I would say is that be careful with social media as well. While it has its pros, it also has its cons. I've seen a lot of people that have been looked at as experts or gurus on social media, and don't believe everything that you hear is all I'm going to say. Have healthy skepticism. Just because somebody says they've done certain things or they're at a certain place, even me, like this information, trust but verify. Like just because someone says they're an expert or something, do a little bit more research. Make sure it's something that aligns with your core values and mission before you take someone's advice. This is why it's really important. You need to know who you are and what you're doing for your customers, because if you take advice from someone that isn't aligned with your core values, it will ruin your reputation. It will take you down a wrong route. And you should never just be focusing on the money, because at some point it should be about service. It should be about fulfilling meaningfulness, because at some point when you're not making the money, it's going to feel really bad. And I always make sure if I am taking somebody's advice, I know who I'm taking advice from, and their values also align with my values. And that is just something I want to leave on the table, because there's a lot of people out there that will give you advice. And while I will take advice from almost anybody, I'm just careful about who to trust in some of those situations.
Trust but verify. Derek, man, great information. I know this was helpful to the listeners. And man, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Of course, I really appreciate it. And I hope to get some value out of it.
Absolutely. Wow, what an incredible conversation we had today with Derek. I don't know about you, but I got a ton of really good notes. So some of the things I got was really, it's always impressive to see growth, right? When you get Derek's single truck operation is now on a journey to 8 million, which is, it's so impressive. And it's a lot of work. The importance of setting specific, measurable, and obtainable KPIs, right? So we've talked about SMART goals in the past. We've talked about KPIs, but really make sure your team knows if you're winning or losing. I mean, at the end of the day, if your team doesn't know if they've done a good job or not, that really falls on leadership. So you got to make sure to give them the tools they need to succeed. One of the other things Derek mentioned was about really best practice groups, peer groups, mastermind groups, how important they are in your business growth. And really a lot of that comes down to, in my opinion, I think a lot of it comes down to accountability. Now, obviously you can be a member of all the best practice, any kind of peer groups, any kind of mastermind groups, all of them. And if you're not implementing, so there is that step of actually taking action. But I think the biggest role that's going to play is the accountability side. And I know for me, when I started joining organizations, it really helped me understand that I wasn't alone. Like I wasn't the only one on this journey and having the problems that I was having, or the challenges, or the wins. The other thing was the impact of building a strong company culture on employee retention. I mean, employee retention, it costs a lot of money to replace an employee. So you really want to do all you can in order to have a good enough culture, in order to retain the team that you have. Another thing was tips in leveraging social media for business branding and recruiting. I know I said this a couple of different times in the interview, and I will put all the information in the show notes, but I'm telling you, go check out Derek and his team's social media. They do a phenomenal job of what they do. And because they do that, and because they're focused on the value of entertainment, it drives a lot of not only customers to them, but employees. Employees want to go work somewhere where they really like it. And it's also really helping them in the recruiting category. I think he said they had a couple hundred people that come in on a regular basis looking for jobs. I mean, can you imagine how your business would change if you had a couple hundred people coming in? It'd be pretty phenomenal. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. Just like your business, it's important that you get reviews. It's the same in the podcast. This is a labor of love. So it is obviously very nice when I get reviews, and it's very nice because it helps all the crazy giant algorithms move me up and help me be found a little bit easier by people looking for podcasts like this. And listen, share this with a fellow leader who could benefit from mastering KPIs and wants to learn a little bit more about leveraging social media. Until next time, keep setting those KPIs and watching your business and leadership transform. This is Justin Deese signing off from the Freedom Blueprint podcast. Stay motivated, stay accountable, and as always, keep crushing it.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.